Welcome back, Patriots, for another episode of the Bald Brad Show. It is Wednesday, February 26th. And as always, and we'll be saying it forever, folks, Donald Trump is by far, not even close, the best president in American history. And the guy's still going like a workhorse, baby. It's been over a month. The guy's unstoppable. The things he's doing, the things he's creating, and the things he's fixing is out of this world. And we got everything we voted for, folks, and some which we will be covering today because there is so much news out there. We haven't had enough time. And guess what? This Wednesday, your boy don't have a meeting to go to. So it's actually a little bit later. Anyway, we can go longer, a little bit longer than an hour, and we're going to need it because the media is in a frenzy. The media is getting fired. Donald Trump's removing a lot of people from the federal government. They're all freaking out and spazzing out over stuff. You have the new tax stuff going into effect potentially with the most recent vote, of which no Democrats voted in favor of. There's just a lot of news here, folks. If you could support us by hitting that like and subscribe button, be greatly appreciated. If you want to join us, hit that subscribe and follow button. That part is absolutely free. So is hitting that like button and then dropping a comment down below when it's available. But I see all of you in the live chat. Enough of me talking. Let's get into the news because that's what you're here for. I'll never be over it. Never Trumper blows up CNN panel in panic over Dan Bongino. Look, you guys, sometimes I can understand where the left is coming at on things. I know it's rare, far and few between. This one really doesn't make sense to me. The guy was a cop. He was a Secret Service agent. He ran like practically he wasn't running the Secret Service, right? He wasn't the director, but the guy was a top level Secret Service agent where he was the one that was basically protecting Barack Obama. Like he was the guy. He was like the number one dude and he would do and manage like everything. I don't understand why you running the FBI along with Kash Patel is that far of a deviation of what he was doing in the Secret Service. And when he was a cop, kind of all entwined into one. Secret Service does investigative work. So does a cop. I really don't get it. It's a weird thing to me, but Never Trumper commentator Tara Setmayer got into a heated exchange with Republican commentator Scott Jennings, which we have a clip of here in a moment. You're going to love it. Over President Donald Trump's Sunday announcement naming former Secret Service agent Dan Bongino as deputy director of the FBI. And as I mentioned, talk about a spaz. These people are, you know, that word unhinged gets thrown around a lot, but it really is. It's like you're not even an adult. And people might say the same thing about me, but again, I'm here for comedy. I'm here for entertainment. I'm here for the energy, baby. But these people, they're far off in the distance, like Joey.
If I may address one issue, you just denigrated Bongino's law enforcement credentials. He was a cop and a Secret Service agent. You denigrated his academic credentials. He has a master's degree.
Just because he was a police officer doesn't make him qualified to run a 38,000-person, $11 billion budget agency, just like Pete Hegseth.
But you know what does? Because he
National Guardsman or everyone doesn't either. Thank you for your service.
The confidence and the pleasure of the president.
And I'm sorry that terrible.
And I'm sorry that you are not yet over the outcome of the election.
No, because look at what's happening to our country, and I'll never be over it, Scott. This is dismantling our democracy in front of our eyes, and you guys are okay with it.
You had a city that was smaller than the amount of people that live on this block, and he was the secretary.
Is she really going to act like we didn't just live through 4 years of hell with Joey? Joe was worse than Barack. I hate to say it. Barack kind of kicked off all this crap like identity politics and kind of racializing everything. And Joe Biden just kind of took it to the next level. But why well, look what's happening in this country. Where was this 4 years ago? Where? Any of it?
Secretary of Transportation, you had the guy who was stealing luggage. I mean, I think anyone who's defending at any point defending the Biden administration.
But this is the FBI.
So,
right.
Yeah, and this is someone who has a career in law enforcement for many years.
Does Dan Bongino have the qualifications to be the second person in charge of the FBI?
Yes, he has law enforcement, he has academic, and again, let me just stress this. I've mentioned this before.
So when you stack up his
serve at the pleasure of the president.
I don't know why it gives us a spinning wheel of death. It's only X that does it. So forgive me for that, folks. I know it seems unprofessional, but I can't control it. Again, it only happens on X. It doesn't happen anywhere else. Let me go back to where we were. I apologize. There we go.
And again, let me just stress this. I've mentioned this before.
So when you stack up his
serve at the pleasure of the president. That's the political appointment.
I know that is the answer to every question, is that Donald Trump wants it, so therefore it is good.
For political appointments, yes.
But when we look at, we're talking about people who are qualified and not, and you look at his resume and compare it to Republican and Democrat nominees for that same position, is he qualified?
Well, I mean, first of all, I'm not sure all the people that have been appointed in the past have covered themselves in glory. And some of them have done a terrible job and gotten in lots of trouble.
Look,
and this is a reform-minded administration. They got outsiders.
Oh, now we're going to switch. Yep. You notice anytime you get a lib or dem and you've contradicted them and you've shown them that they're hypocritical, folks, all those people other than Scott Jennings voted for Joe Biden. I know. And then when they realized his head wasn't working, which, let's be fair, they realized it early on, then they were going to vote for Kamala Harris. Talk about somebody unqualified. But she was vice president. Oh, cool. She cracked the dividing vote. Oh, wow. Yeah, she broke the tiebreaker. Woo! She went on some lunches. No, she wasn't qualified. She wasn't qualified to be vice president. She wasn't qualified to be a senator. She wasn't even qualified to be the district attorney general of the state of California. She wasn't qualified to do any of those things. The lady gave guys sexual pleasure, and that's how she went through the ranks. That's how she uplifted herself. No, but again, look at the Democrat Party and who they put in office. Joe Biden, Kamala Harris. Hell, I know they didn't put her in office, but they puppeted up Jen Psaki. She sucks. Karine Jean-Pierre will go down. I don't think anybody will be worse than her in terms of White House press secretaries. We got to witness probably the worst president in American history. And then now we get to witness, again, the greatest president in American history. But we also got to see the worst White House press secretary in American history. I mean, we are shattering records left and right. Nobody's going to live through the era that we're living through, which is a good and bad thing. It's pretty an amazing time to be alive because you're seeing a lot of crazy crap happen in politics. And if you love politics, it's the best time to be alive. But they're the ones that have Ilhan Omar, who's anti-America, in office. AOC, who's batshit crazy. She's the Green New Deal girl. She's off her rocker. Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi. I mean, the list goes on, does it not? Jeez, Rashida Tlaib. I'm sure I'm missing some psychos in there. There's just so many. It's like a clown car. That whole party is just a clown show. Like I said, and I'll keep saying this till I'm blue in the face. If you're a Democrat and you're not registered independent now, I don't know what the hell you're doing. It just doesn't make sense to me. We got also this happening, which I absolutely love. Trump is all giddy. Trump looked like he just got a bunch of Diet Coke. He was so happy during this. So Trump yanks clearances from Jack Smith's team and scolds a reporter who was worried about that he's targeting people. And Trump goes, I'm not, you want to talk to me? Don't talk to me about targeting. I was the number one target. Don't you talk to me. And he tries to give somebody the pen. I love it. He's giving gear. He's giving pens and hats to the reporters in the Oval Office. It's freaking awesome. And they're all about it too. They're all about it.
Instead of your administration, sir, you committed to ending the weaponization of government, to holding those accountable who participated in the weaponization of government.
Hold it. This is a good one. Is everybody listening? Deranged Jack Smith. We're going to call it the Deranged Jack Smith signing or bill. Go ahead.
One law firm that provided pro bono legal services to the special counsel's office under Jack Smith's leadership was Covington and Burling. As a result of those actions, we're now going to be suspending and putting under review the security clearances for the attorneys and employees at that firm who worked with Jack Smith's team. And we're going to continue holding the people who were responsible for the weaponization of government, who supported it, accountable for what they did.
And you'll be doing this with other firms as time goes by, right?
We're looking at sort of the whole panoply of options.
The weaponization of our system by law firms, even pro bono work they're doing just in order to clog up government, stop government. And nobody knows about it more than me. And hopefully that'll never happen again.
So the Covington and Burlington?
Covington
it will.
And Burlington.
Democrats are crazy.
Mr. President, may I ask you a question about Europe? So long term, do you plan to maintain the number of U.S. troops stationed?
Wait, I just want to savor this one, please.
Yeah. Excuse me. I want to savor this. I want to salivate in it. I want to bask in all the glory of me removing his detail.
Who would like this pen? Hey, why don't you send it to Jack Smith?
I told you they love it. They love Trump. They won't ever admit it, but those reporters are having the times of their lives. And you might be saying, well, Brad, where was the reporter that was talking about targeting? Hey, he's right here.
What do you say to people who worry that targeting an individual firm or individuals who aren't Jack Smith?
Excuse me, I've been targeted for 4 years, longer than that. So you don't tell me about targeting. I was the target of corrupt politicians for 4 years, and then 4 years after that. So don't talk to me about targeting.
Trump is correct here. For some reason, and by the way, since we started the show today, up until this segment, you've seen all of a sudden the left cares. All of a sudden, Democrats care about this. Now they care about targeting. Of course they do, because you have Kash Patel. You have Dan Bongino in the FBI. And as we saw from her speeches and her demeanor, you got Pam Bondi over there at the DOJ. And she's saying, we're all talking to each other. Everybody's talking to one another for hours on end throughout the day. Normally, you don't get that type of cohesion. If that is true, and what she's saying comes out to actually be in fruition, then you're going to see a lot of crap happen over the next 1.5 to 2 years. This is going to be bonkers. I can't wait to see it, but Democrats are spazzing out. And I want to keep saying this. The reason why a lot of people go, Brad, why do you keep talking about Doge and illegal immigration and all these things, and you keep pointing towards Democrats? Because one, we know illegal immigration is all Democrats, right? That's obvious. And it's their agenda, and they said so. But outside of all of that, you only see one party spazzing out. You only see one party going out and taking to the steps of the Capitol, right? Going outside these government buildings, freaking out over Elon Musk sending out an email. There's only one party that is losing their shit, and it's the Democrats. If it were Republicans that were doing all this crazy spending, which don't get me wrong, there is, I'm sure there is. I just don't think it's anywhere near what Democrats have been doing, which is why they're not worried. Democrats are the ones that I think have been doing all of this. Climate change is not a Republican talking point. It's not even a Republican ideology. It's not even a conservative ideology or really independent. It's mostly the Green Party, crazy lefties, and some Democrats. So it's all that side, which would make sense why they are spazzing out and losing their crap. And that's why a lot of people are fleeing out of Washington, D.C. You're seeing the effects of Donald Trump. It's these people. And that's why. That's where I'm getting my conclusion from. And that's why I think it is the Democrat Party that's doing all this stuff. But, whenever there's one Republican, right? Oh, well, you're not all the Republicans, as they're drooling into their drip tray, trying to adjust their football helmet because they're idiots. Jeez, here we go. Here's another one. I know it's a lot of random news, but we'll get to it because as you can see, the title of the show is America's First. Trump fights the media, ends wars, and wins for the U.S. Now, there is stuff about the war. There's stuff about illegal immigration. We're going to get to all of it, folks. If you haven't already and you're enjoying what you're seeing here, hit that like button. It does help support us. I push that a lot because the algorithm wants to see engagement with the channel, and that shows that you're engaging along with writing in the chat, leaving us comments down below, all that fun stuff. So I appreciate everybody that smashed it. For some reason, people over at Rumble don't like hitting the thumbs up button. What's wrong with you people? I love you guys. Thank you for joining me. Here we go. Iran on high alert over potential strike by U.S. Israel on nuclear sites. The last time we heard about this, so this is more of an update, it was just Israel that pretty much had the go-ahead to go after Iran's nuclear facilities, nuclear sites. Now, during the Biden administration, we showed aerial pictures. I don't know if you guys remember this. We go over a lot of stuff, obviously, because we do this every day. But we did show these aerial footage that like kind of time-lapse pictures where it'll be like, this is month 1, and then here's month 6, and you saw the development of it kind of like from satellite photos. So we know that they were starting to build up their nuclear facilities again under Joe Biden. Oh, that wasn't happening. I guarantee you it wasn't happening. Joe Biden, you couldn't even guarantee us that you wouldn't crap your pants in the next 5 minutes. Give me a break. Iran is reportedly on high alert, fearing that the United States and Israel are on the verge of striking its illicit nuclear facilities. The Telegraph reported that multiple high government sources confirmed Iran had changed the preparedness level of its defense systems in response to fears that an attack is imminent. I would say so. Yeah, they know that they're screwed. The Islamic regime, which is the world's leading sponsor of terrorism, is increasing its defenses around the nuclear facilities, including the development or deployment, rather, of an anti-aircraft launchers. I would really love Donald Trump to give us back our $10 billion that was allegedly frozen and then unfrozen secretly by the Biden administration through Qatar. I would really like that $10 billion back. Can we get that? Could somebody mention that to Trump? We got some people on Trump's team that I know watch this show. Can we get that $10 billion back, please? He really greatly appreciate it. I don't even know if he's aware of it still. He got so much going on. Sometimes things slip through the cracks. 10 billion's quite a bit to slip through the crack, but I'll tell you who can't slip things through the crack. Me on doing these reads, because Tarbox here, Jason, $5 says total liberal meltdown. It's just gonna get better. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Wait till I start locking these people up. I'm gonna hold Trump's feet to the fire. Thank you for the $5, by the way, Jason. I want this to happen. I want this to take place. And by the way, I wouldn't imagine, even if the U.S. doesn't go after Iran's nuclear facilities, I think Israel will. So the Iranian authorities are just waiting for the attack and anticipating it every night. And everything has been on high alert, even in sites that no one knows about. One source told the Telegraph, work to fortify nuclear sites has been ongoing for years, but it hasn't intensified over the past year, particularly since Israel launched the first attack. Trump's victory in November only further intensified the activities. Oh, I bet. They don't know what to do. Their heads are spinning right now. They know they are effed. And we're going to see what happens with the sanctions. But I think Iran is going to start falling apart once again, unless they want to actually be civilized people and be a part of the world rather than trying to go after, random people through terrorist attacks. They won't change. I mean, it's hopeful, but it won't change. Now, this one surprised me yesterday. Speaking of foreign policy, foreign affairs, we get an update here on Gaza. I'm going to take it with a grain of salt because this article is coming from the Daily Wire and it has a high probability of being more fluff, more narrative than anything. But what it says here is civilians in Gaza support Trump's relocation plan, say their home is uninhabitable. I do believe that there's people like that there. I think a lot of them want to stay there, as you would, because that's your quote unquote home in your opinion. But that place is destabilized. I mean, they don't even have roads, folks. That is the roads. That they're right in. Yeah, it's rough. You can see it. Some civilians living in Gaza say they're in favor of relocating to more habitable locations outside of the Gaza Strip, in line with President Donald Trump's proposed plan. Now, he would have to displace like close to 2 million people, which is a ton of people. And as I mentioned, you have a problem and something nobody wants to address. Why is it none of the Arab countries want to take in the Palestinians? I'm telling you right now, I know why. And I think we all know why. The Arabs know why. But for some reason, the progressive left and the Democrat Party don't want to say it. And I'm not going to say it until they say it. See, they go, oh, well, what do you mean? What are you talking about? No, I think you know too. And if you're not willing to talk about it, I'm not willing to talk about it. How about that? Yeah. Because what they're going to do is like, how could you say that about a group of people? How could you say that? No, I'm just addressing the fact again. Does anybody else find it a little odd that not a single country in the surrounding area that falls in line with the same faith as these people here are willing to take them in? There's clearly either a stereotype or something going on about the Palestinians that either we are aware of or we're unaware of. And I don't know which one it is, but something's going on to where none of the countries in the surrounding area want anything to do with Palestinian people. And you have to ask yourself why. The people that would know why, that we can learn from, would be either the Palestinians or the progressive left of the Democrat Party telling us why. And I'm just waiting for it. Nobody wants to address it. It's never a talking point, never brought up. well, why would we have to flee? Why would you have to leave? If you want to, I never understood this. Sure, stay in your apartment that has a bunch of terrorists down at the basement, and then you're gonna get upset when a massive mother of all bombs gets dropped, a 2,000-pound bomb on your building, and then you're gonna moan and complain about your building getting blown up when there's terrorists at the bottom of it. I'll give you the exact quote that I said when we were covering this story when these buildings were being bombed and civilians were dying. I said, if I knew there was a guy in my building right now, and he was 2 floors down, and he was a terrorist, could probably tell. You think I would stay here knowing that Charlotte's building just got blown to smithereens. Yeah, she's gone. Oh, well, yeah, there was about 5 terrorists in the floor below her. Yeah, I told her she probably shouldn't be there, that they were probably going to bomb it because there's a terrorist down there. It's the same thing here. It's not rocket science. It is our right in Gaza to have freedom and movement and travel, said a 22-year-old law student, her face blurred for safety during an interview. See, that makes me sus. In light of the suffering by the people of Gaza, the need to travel has become urgent, and it is no longer suitable for living a dignified life as other people live. And I agree. Look, now this is just from a couple people. You'll always find people that are going to fit a narrative. And again, it's coming from the Daily Wire. That's clearly pro-Israel. So that's why I want to address it. I don't want people to think, well, look what everybody's saying in Gaza. I can imagine this is a small percentage, very small percentage of people. And maybe I'm wrong, but it's still interesting and nice to see that there's people there that are going, this is not really the life I'd want for myself nor my kids. And it's going to take a generation or two to potentially build this up and kind of make it a different place. It takes a while to change culture. It takes a while to do all these things. So you have that there. Curious on what you guys think about that in the chat. Do you think something weird, some odds going on where the Arab countries aren't willing to take in the Palestinians? And for those over at Rumble, why don't you throw in the chat why you think that's the case? Let me know. The reason why I say over at Rumble, we're a little bit more safe than we are over there at YouTube. And I don't want you guys getting banned or the lefties going after you guys. $10 from Danielle. Thank you so much. Happy Trump Day. I see what you did there. Yes, happy Trump Day and happy Hump Day. Trumpty Humpty fell on a wall. Trumpty Dumpty had a good fall. Trumpty Dumpty fell on the Democrats and destroyed their party. Oh, we live in the greatest time. It's good to see again everybody in the chat. Again, whenever you guys see me look over here, that is me. Yes, I'm looking at you, but I'm also looking at your chat, reading what you guys have to say. There you go. Yes, Hans has it in the chat. Yes, they know how they act. Exactly. FBI is investigating James Comey. I knew it. This is one of the things I thought was going to happen. I knew something was going to happen with Cash, with Bongino. Comey's alleged plan to infiltrate Trump campaign with honeypot agents. Oh, can you imagine the stuff that Dan's going to find out? Even Cash. Dan is passionate about this stuff. Like I said, the pipe bombs at the RNC, DNC during the January 6th, the agents out there in January 6th, they're going to find that stuff. So we'll know if there was or wasn't. And we'll also know through whistleblowers if the FBI was in fact removing documents and evidence of all this stuff. The FBI has reportedly opened an investigation in the origins of an alleged off-the-books operation launched a decade ago by former FBI Director James Comey to use undercover honeypot agents to infiltrate President Donald Trump's first presidential campaign. That is bonkers if that is true. The alleged scheme was disclosed by an FBI whistleblower last year in a protected disclosure to the House Judiciary Committee. I didn't even know about this. Some of you might have known about this. I had no idea. A honeypot refers to an undercover operative using an attractive woman who uses sexual allure to entice targets and gain information for them. Well, now I know why they used an attractive woman on my man Donald Trump. Sometimes we can't resist. The women, look, Trump's just a normal guy. Everybody knows how guys act, right? We see a pretty lady, we start turning all goofy and we start, drooling into our own drip trays and our helmets go on too. We're like, oh, she's pretty. Oh, she smells like candy. Do you have a Diet Coke on you? The newspaper, sorry, you guys. The newspaper reported that the whistleblower alleged that 2 women, not just one, he knew what he was doing. I'm going to get 2 beautiful brides, 2 beautiful, who worked at the FBI went undercover and infiltrated Trump's campaign. The Washington Times said that the FBI, now under the leadership of Director Kash Patel and Deputy Director Dan Bongino, there you go, is looking for those once undercover employees under Mr. Comey's direction. Oh, baby. The whistleblower alleged that Comey personally knew and personally directed the operation targeting the Trump campaign in an apparent attempt to find incriminating evidence of any kind of a crime that could be used to open an official investigation. I mean, this is the length these people went through, folks. Not only did they utilize our intelligence agencies to spy on the Trump campaign, now you have cases that they actually went in and infiltrated the Trump campaign, not to mention through Dan Bongino's book called Follow the Money. If you haven't read that book, you got to, about how they basically paid off informants, these people, to fabricate stories like the Russia hoax, the PP tapes. All this stuff was completely fabricated. And then what they did was take all your money, which we just found out most recently, and paid off the legacy media to promulgate that fake lie and that narrative. And you know what? So much so that the intelligence agents, like James Clapper, former CIA director, signed that letter. Remember that famous letter of all those intelligence? And look at the names. Oh my God, like they're ethical. They just know what they're doing. We should believe them. Signed this letter saying, no, it's fake. It's Russian disinformation, Russian misinformation. And now they lost their security detail. But remember how we're just supposed to believe all those people? It's funny how Democrats are like, oh, you should believe all women. You should believe them because they're intelligent. Joey says all truth. But then when Doge comes out and shows the receipts on all the stuff they're finding, I don't believe it. I don't think that's really a thing. I don't think it's happening. But I thought we should believe everything. That's weird. Huh. So now you're the is that weird? Are they the conspiracy theorists now? Odd, weird, interesting. Appreciate all your patrons in the chat again, like I've already mentioned, but I want to give a shout out to this because it's actually not just important to me, but it's also important to the company itself. And I'm talking about this sponsorship is from Rumble. And that is one that is incredibly important to the survival of their company. When Rumble first started in 2013, they built a platform specifically for small creators such as myself. And they didn't censor or have biases. They were fair and treated all creators equally, unlike YouTube. No one thought platforms would censor political conversation, opinions on COVID, or anything else. But they did. They did. Folks, Facebook admitted to it. Mark Zuckerberg, 3 times that I'm aware of, admitted to this censorship. And they fell to the pressure of the Biden administration. Rumble did not. Rumble held the line, folks. They stood strong. They were ready to go. They are attacked daily for giving us a voice to talk to you fine people, you fine patriots. They are attacked in corporate media. They are attacked from governments like France. They are attacked from brand advertisers who refuse to work with them, which is a major problem when you're running a media company. You need those advertisers. Corporate America is fighting to remove free speech while Rumble is fighting to keep it. Rumble won't survive with brand advertisers. They don't get much of it. Watching our show on Rumble is the most they can ask from you. But if you really believe in the fight and you have the means, one major way you can help Rumble survive is by joining Rumble Premium. I pay for Rumble Premium as well, folks. I put my money where my mouth is. Join the community that believes in the First Amendment and believes in human right to free speech. Rumble is offering $10 off with promo code STUDIO. Again, $10 off with promo code STUDIO, all caps, when you purchase an annual subscription. Go to rumble.com/premium. Again, rumble.com/premium. Use promo code STUDIO. Like I said, if you have the means and believe in the cause, now is the time to join Premium. If you don't have the means, well, just watching us over at Rumble is greatly appreciated. And also, I think, and I hope I have it correct, I haven't got an actual certification email. I believe we did make it into Rumble's creator program. So starting March 1st, in like 3-4 days, we are going to have 5 hours a month, and we're going to start up. That's the Dark MAGA nights. And I think we're going to do maybe Tuesday, Thursday nights. We'll do Dark MAGA podcast, where we'll do an evening show strictly on Rumble. And that will be on Rumble Premium only. So those Dark MAGA podcasts had actually been blowing up. They've been doing really well. Is only going to be on Rumble Premium. So you won't find it on X. You won't find it on YouTube. And every Tuesday and Thursday night, I'm planning on doing probably. That's going to be over at Rumble only and exclusively. And then our normal podcast will be viewable for everybody every morning, weekday. So just want to make everybody aware. That's why I want you guys to get Rumble Premium, because I want you to come hang out in the chat and be there or be square. Be there or be square. You got to be a patriot or what? But I understand some people don't, that can be kind of expensive, but you're really helping a company that's fighting for free speech. It's greatly, greatly appreciated. So we'll keep you updated on what's going on with that FBI honeypot whole charade. And I wouldn't doubt if it's true, to be honest. I really wouldn't, but I'm glad they're looking into it. Something I want your guys' take on is this right here. Trump announced a new gold card for wealthy people who can now buy to come to America. So this is quite interesting. And I want to see if I have my clip down here of it. Instead of a green card, you get what's called a gold card. And rather than me explaining it, I'm going to allow Mr. 4547 to do it for me.
We're going to be doing something else that's going to be very, very good. We're going to be selling a gold card. You have a green card. This is a gold card. We're going to be putting a price on that card of about $5 million, and that's going to give you green card privileges plus. It's going to be a route to citizenship, and wealthy people will be coming into our country by buying this card. They'll be wealthy, and they'll be successful, and they'll be spending a lot of money and paying a lot of taxes and employing a lot of people. And we think it's going to be extremely successful. Never been done before, anything like this, but it's something that we're going to be putting out over the next, would you say 2 weeks, Howard? Do you want to say a couple of words about it?
Sure.
Mr. President, are there
Wait a
any
minute.
requirements for that gold card?
second.
Do you have to invest a certain amount of money in this country in order to qualify for that gold card?
Yeah, exactly.
So the EB-5 program was really, you lend some money, but it was full of nonsense, make-believe, and fraud, and it was a way to get a green card that was low priced. So the president said, rather than having this sort of ridiculous EB-5 program, we're going to end the EB-5 program. We're going to replace it with the Trump Gold Card, which is really a green card gold. So they'll be able to pay $5 million to the U.S. government. They'll have to go through vetting, of course. We're going to make sure they're wonderful, world-class global citizens.
I haven't seen this clip, and I'm really glad he said that because that's one of the things that was on my mind.
They can come to America. The president can give them a green card, and they can invest in America, and we can use that money to reduce our deficit. Why do we give out lotteries of green cards? Why do we give out EB-5 for green cards? The President of the United States understands that the right answer is, why don't we eliminate the deficit of the United States of America instead?
The gold card, well, millions, but the gold card will bring in with it people that create jobs, very high-level people. I think companies will pay to get people in. For instance, you today graduate from the Wharton School of Finance or Harvard or Stanford or any college, and nobody knows if you can even go to work for a company. So Apple and all these companies that want to get people to be working for them will be able to buy a card, and for the people that are number one in their class at top schools, I see that as one of the things. But generally speaking, it'll be people with money and people that create jobs, and they won't have to pay any tax on income outside of the United States, which they're not paying right now. They're not citizens, but they'll have to pay if they create jobs in the United States. They'll pay full taxes like everybody else.
It's a really smart idea, actually, especially because, again, like you said, you're going to be vetting these people, meaning you'll probably be a little bit choosy on who you're going to select. But as long as, hey, they have an opportunity to create a business here, they're paying $5 million. That's money that could go directly into, paying off the deficit. And then in the hopes that they're going to create more jobs means more money means more taxes going off, paying off the deficit, which is what we're going to need. I actually kind of like it. And other countries do this as well. We're not the first ones to do it. And of course, the Democrats are spazzing out. Well, that doesn't create equity. Some people can't afford it. $5 million is a lot of money. I think it should be more. I get there's some people who don't have a lot of money. They'll be hardcore Americans when they want to come here. But I think that should be more than $5 million as a gold card. And that way you're bringing in the people that are going to be wealthy, and you tax them and you do all that stuff, blah, blah, blah. So I love it. One of the other things I love here is the judge siding with the White House over the Associated Press won't overturn briefing room ban. So now we're going to step into a little bit of yesterday's White House press briefing and just a teensy bit and show you kind of the highlights of what they're talking about, because there's a massive shakeup in that room. And that is an understatement, you guys. For decades, they've been doing something and I'll highlight it in a little bit. You're going to want to hold tight. For decades, basically the journalists have been running the show. The tide has changed, and we'll get there. So a federal judge in Washington, D.C. declined the Associated Press's request to temporarily restore its White House access after President Donald Trump banned the outlet from continuing to use Gulf of Mexico in its reports. Now, this is a little bit misleading because it's talking about the Associated Press not having access, but I believe it was just access to the Oval Office. They're still in the White House press briefing rooms. I mean, Zeke Miller, I think is his last name, is right in the middle of the podium. The guy usually gets the first question of the day, or at least used to. And there's some other lady that does it. I forget her name. The U.S. Judge Trevor McFadden, who was appointed by Trump in 2017, turned down the Associated Press requests for a temporary restraining order, writing that the Associated Press can get access to the same information from pool coverage rather than attending each White House event directly, which is true. Judge McFadden explained that he was not convinced the Associated Press faced irreparable harm from the current restrictions. Again, the current restrictions were just right here. And they were just barred from more private areas. So they're still in the White House press briefing room. I get that they're upset because they don't like Trump. They haven't liked Trump for a while, and they didn't get their way. So now they're kicking and screaming because they've grown up spoiled. The journalists, the media, the Democrat Party, the left-wing apparatus of the Democrat Party has gotten their way for so long that they're spoiled little brats now. And they've gotten away with their shenanigans for so long that now when they're not getting their way anymore, what do they start doing? They start kicking and screaming like little kids. Kind of like they're doing with Doge and everything else, because baby daddy's back, right? Daddy's home. Daddy's been on vacation. Daddy's been on vacation and he's home and he's kicking your ass. You know, you didn't want to listen to mommy. Now you just, now you're getting it. Here was the big news yesterday regarding the White House press briefings. And I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if there's a frenzy around this, like from reporters. Trump White House strips WHCA, that's the White House Correspondents Association, of press pool control, opens access to new voices. We said this was going to happen. Excuse me one moment. I didn't want to cough into the mic. I heard early on that this was the agenda. And then I thought, well, maybe they just either weren't able to do it or they turned away from it. I heard this was going to happen. You guys even heard me say, I'm surprised like everybody's kind of in the same seating arrangement because usually they change it. So what I have to do, and you guys don't see this on my end, outlets will display a seating chart basically of the White House press briefing rooms. And when there's a new administration or a new White House press secretary, I will always go in and see if the seating arrangement changed, if people moved around, blah, blah, blah. Well, things are about to be shaken up really quick. The move strips the White House Correspondents Association of its role in picking what it describes as small team of writers, photographers, and technicians assigned each day to cover the commander-in-chief on behalf of the broader corps of correspondents. In its latest salvo, in a clash between Trump White House and the organization, which is currently led by a reporter from Politico. That name sounds familiar. Yeah. Who was receiving money for subscriptions? Oh, it's Politico. That's right. Who was paying for that? Oh, we were. Yes. Oh, yeah. Screw you, Politico. For decades, a group of DC-based journalists, and we're going to let her finish it here with this video clip. She calls it out, and I love this. I'm all for this 100%. Get new voices, new people out there. I'm tired of these old slobs in there pushing leftist agenda. Now we could switch things up real quick.
And this entire White House are committed to ensuring the American people continue to receive this same level of historic transparency, access, and visibility. In fact, we want to double down and give even greater access to the American people. We want more outlets and new outlets to have a chance to take part in the press pool, to cover this administration's unprecedented achievements up close, front and center. As you all know, for decades, a group of DC-based journalists, the White House Correspondents Association, has long dictated which journalists get to ask questions of the President of the United States in these most intimate spaces.
I love this.
Not anymore.
Heck yeah.
I am proud to announce that we are going to give the power back to the people who read your papers, who watch your television shows, and who listen to your radio stations. Moving forward, the White House press pool will be determined by the White House press team. Legacy outlets who have participated in the press pool for decades will still be allowed to join, fear not, but we will also be offering the privilege to well-deserving outlets who have never been allowed to share in this awesome responsibility. Just like we added a new media seat in this briefing room, legacy media outlets who have been here for years will still participate in the pool. But
you'll just be standing in the back in the other room. I'm sorry, I had to do it. I love it. I love it.
New voices are going to be welcomed in as well. As part of these changes, we will continue the rotation amongst the 5 major television networks to ensure the president's remarks are heard far and wide around this world. We will add additional streaming services which reach different audiences than traditional cable and broadcast. This is the ever-changing landscape of the media in the United States today. We will continue to rotate a print pooler who has the great responsibility of quickly transcribing the president's remarks and disseminating them to the rest of the world. And we will add outlets to the print pool rotation who have long been denied the privilege to partake in this experience, but are committed to covering this White House beat. We will continue to rotate a radio pooler and add other radio hosts who have been denied access, especially local radio hosts who serve as the heartbeat of our country. And we will add additional outlets and reporters who are well suited to cover the news of the day and ask substantive questions of the President of the United States, depending on the news he is making on that given day. This administration is shaking up Washington in more ways than one. That's what we were elected to do. As I have said since the first day behind this podium, it's beyond time that the White House press operation reflects the media habits of the American people in 2025.
There you go.
Not 1925.
There you go.
A select group of DC-based journalists should no longer have a monopoly over the privilege of press access at the White House. All journalists, outlets, and voices deserve a seat at this highly coveted table. So by deciding which outlets make up the limited press pool on a day-to-day basis, the White House will be restoring power back to the American people who President Trump was elected to serve.
I love it. And they're probably spazzing out. They don't like that one bit. Let's see what people have to say here. The White House Correspondents Association's press pool was a one-sided circus. Trump's bringing in the whole tent. It was a one-sided circus. It was predominantly left-wing media outlets. That's why you had these nut jobs right here. All these people. Now, these weren't White House correspondents, but Jim Acosta was. And this is the stuff they're pushing and promulgating. And I think it's nice. And something we saw early on with the White House press briefings was how she was handling her questions, where she did a really good job of recognizing who were left-wing outlets and who were right-wing outlets and kind of spreading the narrative around a little bit. And when you do something like that, that kind of shows these left-wing media reporters, correspondents, that, you know, you're not kind of the top dog anymore. And it almost keeps them in check a little bit, because you'll have somebody in the room, you never know, you might have a fellow colleague from a right-wing outlet that will basically call your question out next, going, hey, you know what, I'm not sure if the White House actually agrees with what that person said. Do you agree that Trump does this? Because we're not seeing that at all. We're actually seeing this. So what you do is you almost create like a small debate in a way through the form of questioning, response types of questionings that obviously are biased. But I love it. I'm freaking all for it. I love it. Let me know if you guys enjoy that as well in the chat, what Caroline Levitt's doing. Thank you, Little Onion, for joining the Bald Brad Army with the badge next to your name. I love that. Always see you in the chat. And I've seen you in the chat a lot recently. So appreciate you. Where's Caitlin Collins? I don't know. Who knows? I'm okay if I don't have to hear Caitlin Collins. I really don't like her. She's scummy. She's scummy. She is. No, she is. She's scummy. She treats Trump mean. Anybody's treating my boy mean, I'm going to fight him. Caroline Levitt slams New York Times reporter who compares Trump White House to Putin's Kremlin. This is how insane these people are, you guys. So here's the tweet itself. And let me go to Peter Baker's tweet. He goes, having served as a Moscow correspondent in the early days of Putin's reign, this reminds me of how the Kremlin took over its own press pool and made sure that only compliant journalists were given access. Folks, she just got done saying how everybody's still going to be in the room. They're just going to kind of do like a rotation rather than having a monopoly on people who get to ask the questions. And those people that get to ask the questions are clearly a monopoly on the narrative. And you don't want that to allow to happen. It's the quite opposite of what this nut job is saying. So Caroline comes out of the woodworks, and good for her, says, give me a break, Peter. Moments after you tweeted this, the president invited journalists into the Oval and took questions for nearly an hour. Joey could never. Joey could never. Your hysterical reaction to our long overdue and much needed change to an outdated organization is precisely why we made it. Gone are the days where left-wing stenographers, posing as journalists, such as yourself, dictate who gets to ask what. And we all know that they are all communicating with each other to ask very specific types of questions, and they're not about bringing truth. Oh no, we saw that. They could care less about bringing the truth to the American people. They're asking questions that will fit their narrative and make the Trump administration look bad. It's not what the American people want to hear. It's not about getting the news out there and getting information out to the American people. And if they even try to do that, well, then certain White Houses like the Biden administration and the Obama administration will say, oh, you should go talk to this person. Oh, well, you should actually talk to that person. Oh, well, you're not getting your answers. Oh, you should call them again. Just give them a phone call. Yeah, but can you bring them on the podium? No, we can't do it. So no matter what, this is a much needed change. And people will tend to say on the right, Republicans, conservatives, they'll go, yeah, but what happens then when the Democrats get a hold of the White House press briefings? Nothing. We just go back to how it's been for the last, 50 to 100 years. Right now, it's already left-wing media in there. So all she's doing is just bringing in new media that will likely be conservative and also left-wing media and just kind of switch it up a little bit. So if Democrats come in, we're already used to what they've had in the first place, is what we've been dealing with for the last 4+ decades, really. So it's not really that big of a change. So we've already dealt with it. And by the way, it just brings us more content, and we'll fight it like we have been, and make White House press briefings a little bit more fun for us here. Cause actually we'll get probably some good questions when we cover it during MAGA nights or others. Well, I told you we get to a little bit of illegal immigration news, folks. So we got quite a bit of that. We got an illegal immigrant pedophile in ICE custody after liberal state's parolee board tried to save him. I bring the receipts constantly, and the left still say that I'm making this up, that they're not for this stuff. Your actions say otherwise. You say things with your words, but you move and do things against what you're saying because they're liars. An illegal migrant, pedophile from Haiti, Joey's doing, is now in the custody of Immigration and Customs Enforcement, despite a systemic parolee board trying to save him from deportation several weeks ago. How many times for over 4 years have I said, Democrats love this stuff. The progressive left love this stuff. They're all about it. This is exactly what I've been highlighting here. This dude was serving 5 years in prison for felony second-degree sexual assault against a child between 13 and 15 years old. He was convicted of sexually assaulting a child on March 11, 2020, just as pandemic lockdowns were starting, and he was sentenced in November. In December, this person was released from a Connecticut prison after his parolee board ruled how to best help him avoid deportation. The Trump administration, the parolee board, decided would not be able to get its act together fast enough to deport the illegal immigrant pedophile before his 30-day immigration detainer runs out. They can't elect a Speaker of the House, one board member scoffed. This is crazy. Oh, it was this guy. We covered this guy. Holy crap. He's back. Okay. We watched this video. This guy said he couldn't promise that he wasn't going to go out there and do this stuff to young kids again. Yeah, right here. I can't say I promise it's not going to happen, basically again. We don't need to watch it. I guess we will. Here we go. We already clicked it, might as well.
I promise that this not gonna happen, because that's not always a thing when you say, oh, I promise. No, I'm not gonna say I promise, but I will definitely try to do my best to keep myself away from situations like that again.
Wow. Wow. What are the odds that that guy makes a return? We covered that story months ago. Yikes. Well, Trump is also planning to do this. I find this kind of fascinating. So Trump administration is planning to create a registry for illegal aliens in the United States to submit their personal information or else face criminal charges. I don't think they're going to do it. Because it's basically asking to be deported, right? Like, I feel like Trump's like, do you think some of them are stupid enough to sign this thing and give us their information? Do you think some of them will do it? It also has me a little bit worried that this is the beginnings of possibly an amnesty negotiation instead of deporting all these people. So I'm going to see. I hope Trump doesn't do something like that, but and there's no need, right? Because we have both branches of government, meaning there's not really much negotiation that needs to be had. It makes me a little bit worried here. Documents obtained by the Wall Street Journal from the administration show that another 14 years of age and older will be required to submit their fingerprints and home addresses to the registry of or face criminal prosecution. Those who do not comply could face up to 6 months in prison and a $5,000 fine. Homeland Security Kristi Noem wrote a memo describing the new policy that those in the United States illegally face a choice. They can return home and follow the legal process to come to the United States, or they could deal with the consequences of continuing to violate our laws. The plan relies on the use of 1940 immigration law that was designed to catch suspected communists. Officials have considered using the law in the past, but have decided against it because pursuing the cases would take substantial resources, and they don't believe the payoff is high enough. The plan aims to target those in the U.S. illegally who have not interacted with the government within the last 30 days, including applying for a work permit or for asylum. The plan is to give illegal aliens a month to sign up for the registry after it is created. The report noted that a similar program was used by George W. Bush after the 9/11 terrorist attacks. Men and boys from predominantly Muslim countries. The report said thousands were arrested and deported under the program. I don't know what Trump's game plan is on this. I don't know if it could possibly also create a pathway to citizenship for these people, since there's like 30 million of them here. And he might be realizing it from Tom Homan that it's probably not going to be realistic to deport all these people, especially at the pace that Tom Homan is going. So I don't know the game plan, or it is that this is what it is, where he thinks people are going to be silly enough to sign up for this thing and then get themselves deported. I don't know. Maybe he's right. Maybe he's wrong. Not sure. As I mentioned, I do read your chats throughout the episodes, and unbeknownst to you, I got a pretty good memory on things. And I do remember your guys' questions that you propose. And sometimes I sit on it for a little bit. And there were people asking about this next article. And you guys were asking either at the tail end of last week or earlier this week. I think it was during a Dark MAGA podcast. You guys were wondering what's going on with the Keystone Pipeline. Drill, baby, drill. You guys were asking about this, and you might be one of them sitting in this chat right now. Well, get it done now. Get the thing built. What are you doing? I said last year to get this shit going. What's going on? So President Trump on Monday called to revive the Keystone X-Line pipeline project that was abandoned in 2021. Make it America. I got goosebumps saying it. It's an obvious thing to do. We're in 2025. I don't know why we act like we can't do things safe. The canceled Keystone XL was supposed to be 1,200 miles of oil pipeline that shipped crude oil from Canadian oil sands to Nebraska. Politics and backlash from environmentalists kind of mirrored the project's necessary permits in bureaucratic limbo. Our country's doing well, and today I was just thinking that the company building the Keystone XL pipeline was viciously, basically jettisoned by the incompetent Biden administration and should come back to America and get it built now. I know they were treated very badly by Sleepy Joe, but the Trump administration is very different. Easy approvals, almost immediate start. If not them, perhaps another pipeline company. We want the Keystone XL pipeline built. And I think that is a good push by the Trump administration to get that built. Here we have this.
has it from a few moments ago. He says our country is doing very well, and he was just thinking about the company that was shooed away and canceled by the Biden administration who wanted to build the Keystone XL pipeline. He is inviting them back. We want the Keystone XL pipeline built. He wants a pipeline built in the Northeast, in New England, where I am from, where we have some of the highest electricity and utility rates in the country. This is a president who is constantly thinking about how he can help the American people, innovating and pushing groundbreaking ideas on every single issue. And that's, again, why the vast majority of Americans are seeing through the mainstream media and the Democrat Party's lies, because they are audience has.
There you go. She's right. It's nice to just hear somebody that doesn't take pauses and have to think all the time what they're going to say and how they're going to say it, flipping through a binder. It's just really refreshing. And I'm not sure how long that's going to take for me to get away from that. I don't know how long it's going to take for me to go, okay, this is what normality looks like. So there we go. We'll see if that thing actually gets built, how long it'll take. I mean, 1,200 miles, I imagine it'll take a while, but hopefully they get that thing built pretty quick. It's all about bringing energy back to America, relieving the cost and burden of that freight, which relieves the cost and burden on the American people in terms of making things cheaper. The left right now, the Democrat Party, is still asking, why is there no eggs? These people live under a rock. There's only two routes. They're either that dumb or they're doing it on purpose and trying to make a narrative and a story out of something that's completely false, which it's obviously both. They killed a bunch of birds because of the bird flu. Well, it turns out, I know, shocking, by the way, that when you don't have birds, you can't have eggs. You can't have meat either. It's an amazing thing. I know, it's astonishing. It's novel. It's new to them. They haven't seen it before. So you need to basically build up the population again to have eggs. And once you have eggs, well, prices will either stagnate or come back down. But guess when that happened? Under Joey. You never heard a peep, right? We've always said, where are all the Democrats at complaining about things? We heard them complain 4 years under the first Trump administration, and they were quiet for 4 years after everything was being roughshod over this country. Not a peep. And then now Donald Trump is in office for, by the way, it was like 30 minutes before they started putting out those memes. Unbelievable. Their heads just aren't on straight. It doesn't work correctly. Now, speaking of building up America, you got Apple right here announcing a $500 billion investment. That's a lot. Guys, that's a massive investment. I know we're used to hearing trillions of dollars and stuff like that nowadays because of the way our politicians handle things. $500 billion investment in the U.S. is freaking bonkers. Plans to build AI server factory in Texas. That's going to cost a lot of energy, by the way. Apple announced on Monday that it would invest $500 billion in the United States over the next 4 years, which includes building an artificial intelligence AI server factory in Texas. The big tech company, said it will open the 250,000 square foot server manufacturing facility in Houston in 2026, creating thousands of jobs. The investment also includes the expansion of teams and facilities in Michigan, California, Arizona, Nevada, Iowa, Oregon, North Carolina, and Washington. We are bullish on the future of American innovation, and we are proud to build on our longstanding U.S. investments with this $500 billion commitment to our country's future. From doubling our advanced manufacturing fund to building advanced technology in Texas, we are thrilled to expand our support for American manufacturing, and will keep working with people and companies across the country to help write an extraordinary new chapter in the history of American innovation. We'll see if they hold up to it, but it goes on. This is Apple's announcements come after Cook met with Trump last week. Trump hinted at major Apple investment on Friday, saying the company stopped 2 plants in Mexico and would build in the United States. So we'll see if that actually takes place. I'm all for building America, made by America. Now that will cause prices to go up. I think you could offset a little bit of that through Trump's tax policies by bringing down the corporate tax for companies that want to, hire American workers and build here in America. So I think there's routes to help them still make their margins and kind of meet the demands of the shareholder. But we'll see. We won't hold our breath with that one, to say the least. Pat over here becomes a member for 9 months. Pat's been a long supporter of the Bald Brad Army, has a mug, has a t-shirt, has the book, and has a sticker of our logo on his truck. I'm not saying, but a lot of people are saying 9 months is a long time, but not saying it's a long time, but a lot more, said in a Trump voice. Oh, well, I wish that would have been at the beginning, the Trump voice, then I would have read it in the Trump voice. Thank you, dude, for a member for 9 months. Appreciate that. And the American Patriot subscription, not even Bald Brad Army, American Patriot, which is the $4.99. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Big news here with Zelensky. If you're wondering, we are going to go a little bit longer just because I don't have to go to work till a little bit later. Not too much longer. Zelensky to visit White House to sign new mineral deal with the U.S. Remember, last we heard, he wasn't going to do it. So if you don't remember the story, little trip down memory lane, is we gave like $300 billion to Ukraine. Ukraine's saying, well, $100 billion was just a grant. It was a charity. It was a contribution that you gave. It wasn't a loan, so we don't have to pay you back. And it's not even recorded as debt. And then he goes, but Europe gave us $100 billion, and that is as a loan, and we have to pay back Europe for that. And so we're looking around going, well, how are we getting fucked here? I don't mean the cuss, but that's what's happening. How are we getting reamed from behind? And Europe isn't. Europe's a lot closer to Russia than we are. It would make more sense for Russia to make the contribution and the donation than it would be for us. But because Democrats and Joey are a bunch of nut jobs, along with some of the Republicans in Congress, they just start signing checks. Now we're out 100 billion plus. So Trump goes, well, we need to get something out of this. Why is it we're just handing you money? You're the one that's getting reamed from behind. This doesn't make any sense. Like, we should get something. And so he said, look, we'll take your minerals. How about you just give us like $500 billion worth of minerals? How about that? And Zelensky goes, well, I'm not going to do that. We're not going to make that happen. And everyone's like, what the F? That's fine. Well, you're screwed now. Well, here you go. I told, and what did we say? He'll bend the knee. He's going to bend the knee because he knows he's effed. See, everybody, they always puff their chest. Everybody has an ego at some point, puffing the chest out, right? You saw it from Mexico president. She bent the knee real quick. You saw it from Justin Trudeau over there in Canada. He bent the knee and kissed the ring really quick. You saw it from Colombia, bent the knee and kissed the ring within 13 minutes. It's a thing. Zelensky, 24 hours. Everybody bends and kisses the ring of Trump. It happens. We should start making Trump rings. Kiss your father. Bow down. There's a little bit of lipstick from the Mexican president. Let me get that off. And maybe from Justin, too. I think that's actually Justin Trudeau's makeup. What the hell? You didn't clean it off, Pete. Damn it, Pete. You didn't clean off Justin's lipstick. God damn it. Well, kiss it anyways. You're slobbering over it, Zelensky guy, you sicko. Kiss it again. Sorry. I have a good time with you guys. Get over it. I have a good time. I told you I like hanging out with you. All right. Well, Trump told give me a second to collect myself. Let me wet my whistle. That helps. All righty. Well, Trump told reporters on Monday afternoon that Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky will travel to the United States this week to sign a new mineral deal with the United States. I hear that Zelensky is coming on Friday, Trump said. Yeah, everybody got that? Zelensky's coming. Certainly, it's okay with me if he'd like to. Ukrainian officials confirmed to multiple publications that Zelensky will meet with President Donald Trump on Friday to sign the deal at the White House. I feel like the guy spent more time abroad, meaning Zelensky, than he has actually in Ukraine. The Financial Times reported that Ukraine agreed to the terms of a mineral deal that was proposed by the Trump administration, which it hopes bolsters its relationship with the United States, but only after the United States dropped the demand for the right to $500 billion in potential revenues from minerals to repay the United States for the assistance it has received over the last 3 years. You think Joey would ask for this deal? You think Joey would have done this? Joey's not even aware that Ukraine is being invaded. Joey doesn't have a damn clue. It's a very big deal. It could be $1 trillion deal, Trump told reporters Tuesday. We are spending hundreds of billions of dollars on Ukraine and Russia fighting a war that should have never happened, ever happened. The deal reportedly establishes a fund in which Ukraine would contribute 50% of proceeds from the future monetization of state-owned mineral resources, including oil and gas and associated logistics, the report said. The fund would invest in projects in Ukraine. At least we're getting something out of it. But why did it take Trump to come in office to do something like this? Why? Because the Democrat Party doesn't care. The Democrat Party is just about spending your money on transing dolphins, transing kids, transing this or that, or some sort of climate change bullshit, and we have to deal with it. So, speaking of that, Trump's one big, beautiful budget vision clears House in massive victory for Mike Johnson. Let's break this down because I believe, if I remember correctly, 0 Democrats voted for this. On Tuesday, the GOP-led House narrowly passed a budget plan that embodies Donald Trump's hopes for one big, beautiful bill that contains part of his domestic agenda that the Republican-controlled Senate version left out. House lawmakers voted 217 to 215 for a budget resolution addressing spending in key areas such as national security and border security, in addition to calling for $4.5 trillion in tax cuts. It's a lot of money. And raising the debt limit by $4 trillion. That part I don't like. I don't like that. The reason why they're doing this is because, again, the government shuts down very soon. And so they're raising the ceiling once again. So now we're dealing with this bull crap. And I told you I was going to hold Trump's feet to the fire. I don't like this. I have to see how this is going to progress long term, because it also sets the goal of reducing mandatory federal spending by $2 trillion over time. I have to see the long-term effects of this. Obviously, you have to fund the government, which I don't like doing now. I mean, at some point, we got to stop kicking this can down the road. But I'm also seeing us, at the same time we're doing this, actually slowing down the kicking of the can with Doge, with stopping all this spending. So I'm not as upset as I normally would be about this, because I'm seeing some changes right now. And I like this here. I want it to be more. GOP leadership managed to win over enough party holdouts in talks that played out right up until the vote, which took place shortly after it appeared to have been pulled from the evening, in which Representative Thomas Massie, who has raised concerns about the plan, adding that the U.S. deficit was the sole Republican to join Democrats in opposing the budget resolution. And I don't know if he's a registered Republican, but I don't know if he's a fiscal conservative. When it raises the ceiling, I understand why he would vote against it, because it continues to hurt us at the end of the day. We got it done, Speaker Mike Johnson told reporters, adding that there is a lot of hard work ahead of us, and we are going to deliver the America First agenda. We are going to deliver all of it, not just parts of it. The budget reconciliation process allows lawmakers to expedite considerations of legislation pertaining to fiscal matters. Once a resolution is adopted by both chambers of Congress, members can move on putting together a bill, and the Senate requires a simple majority of 51 votes. It's going to be close. In GOP, we have 53-47, and we all know how the GOP act every now and then. We'll see. Now, look, we do need I'm sure in the bill there's border security, right? That's going to build the wall and do all that stuff. I think that's important. But I'm not a fan of raising the debt. I mean, we're going to hit $40 trillion, you guys. I'm not, it seems like I'm joking when I said that. I just got dizzy saying that number. $40 trillion. Our interest is like $1 trillion alone. Interest is $1 trillion. How do you ever expect to pay that down? It's bonkers. It really just is. It's wild. It's head spinning, but it's the time we live in. And I hope Trump gets it together. I'm not for spending $4 trillion, to be quite honest, but as long as you can reduce the deficit over time, I'm good with it, but I'm not going to hold my breath, because that's a promise I want kept. As you all know, my number 1 and 2 issues is the deficit, the debt, and it is also illegal immigration. One of them I'm going to get handled. I know that. One of them is going to be figured out and already pretty much has. So I wanted that border secure, stem the flow of illegal immigration. It has happened. So maybe I can't be too greedy here, but that is our show for the day. I hope all of you enjoyed today's Wednesday, Trump Day, Hump Day podcast. If you're new here, we do this each and every morning, 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Every weekday morning, we are here pretty much right on time. Some days we'll be 1 or 2 minutes late, but not late as me not sitting here. It's just trying to get everything up and running. I do everything myself, so that's why your hard-earned contributions to the show is greatly appreciated, because we could pay for software, we could pay for advertising and all those things. We're about to start another advertising campaign here in a couple of days, folks, so gear up for that one. Appreciate everybody that joins me each and every morning. Pray for this country, pray for Donald Trump, and we'll be back here tomorrow for another episode of The Bald Brad Show. Take care, Patriots.